Time for what?
Time for what?
Experience in college.
Time for reinforcement.
Time for liftoff!
Welcome to College for All, where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible.
College.
My college scholarship.
Yes. Boom.
College ran by real fast.
You hung in with the best college.
Touchdown!
First time for everything.
Well, what are you waiting for?
What are you waiting for?
Let's do this thing.
Genius, let's do this thing!
Welcome to College for All, where nothing is impossible unless you think it is impossible. This is AMV bringing you information about college and beyond. You can also follow us on social media at college, 4, all AMV on Twitter and Instagram. More and more, everyone is aware that a post-secondary education is critical for someone to be successful in their lives. And during the Obama administration, First Lady Michelle Obama created Reach Higher, a program that nationally created a platform for students in various venues with many toolkits, opportunity, even utilizing social media to reach as many youth as possible to make sure they reach higher beyond just a high school diploma, regardless who they are or what their background was. It's about making sure that they knew that they can. And we are very honored for our show to get an interview from someone from Reach Higher.
My name is Stephanie Sproul Owens. I am the Chief Programming Officer for Reach Higher. Reach Higher was started during the Obama administration by Mrs. Obama while she was in the White House and as First Lady to help students to reach what President Obama had set as the North Star goal, which was that by the year 2020, the United States would lead the world again in college completion rates. And Mrs. Obama was a first-generation student.
Right.
And, was almost an undermatched student, but she believed in herself and believed that she could go to college, much like the students in the film, and to just sort of break all barriers that were in front of her, that were some very real, true hurdles. She was not from a rich family. She was a first-generation student, and she wanted to go to Princeton. And she was told by some that she was reaching too high. So in the fashion of Mrs. Obama, she said, well, I'm going to show you. And obviously got into Princeton and got into Harvard and is an amazing woman today.
So, I've been going to NACAC conferences since, and I say this proudly, since last century. And this conversation about now the keyword access and that so many people have been told a message or they weren't told early enough, right? And I know Michelle constantly put her face out there. You guys are always expanding to different programs, whether they're Common App, Instagram, Snapchat, it goes on and on and on. What do you think is the biggest, in your opinion, hurdles that's still breaking out? Because everyone's aware of it. The data's out there. It's time for change. But what is those hurdles? Because, I was a little bit surprised when the Obama administration was around. They were trying to do the shopping sheet where it was one standard financial aid form. Right. And you knew what the average debt, average salary, and that educated families. But then when it went through legislation, you could volunteer to do that. And then all the colleges were like, okay, we won't do it. And so there became this more of this gap in information. So what do you think is why we're still having this conversation? This has been, I've been doing this for over 20 years.
Yeah, sure.
And the issues are still the same.
Well, there is a lot of gridlock in D.C. That is that is such a stock answer, and it's such a Washington answer. But it's true. And we saw it firsthand being at the Department of Education. I was at the Department of Education for the full 8 years of the Obama administration. And you just saw that there was a lot of bureaucracy that got in the way. I'm going to flip the question a little bit to give you an answer. So
perfect.
In a nutshell, what is the problem? The adults in the room are the problem. We are the roadblock. There's lots of reasons for it, right? Like, I understand that we need to keep student data private. We need to protect our students, but a lot of that gets in the way. So what really works is not necessarily Michelle Obama's voice. She's a fantastic advocate. People know her. People trust her. People tend to like her.
Yes.
But the person who is going to make the difference in the lives of students are other students. It is these students, what we call sort of in Washington, near peer mentors, But really, it's what are your friends doing? What are the people around you doing? If you see that the person in your class is doing really well, maybe they're an average student, maybe they're an above average student, but you see them filling out a FAFSA and you ask, what is the FAFSA? What do I need to have for this? Students are going to be much more likely to respond to them than they are to any of the adults in the room, right? Because it's cool. Because adults are cool. And Michelle Obama is cool, which is great, but she can't be in every single classroom. And so we need students like this to really put the effort forward when the adults in the room can't get it together.
Yeah. And, and one of the things is I think there's always this question because of the stress of kids, of everything going on. And it's how early do you start this peer mentorship? When are you training? Because I remember when I worked in the middle school in San Francisco, it was 21st Century, which is now Willie Brown Middle School. And over there, the kids had opportunities to go to many great schools. Funding was not an issue, but they just felt so intimidated and stuff like that. So when should this peer advising program have? Because there are some great people. When do you think is based off all the work that you do with Reach Higher?
I think we start at birth, frankly. We know from the data that, eighth grade rates tell us a lot. Third grade reading rates tell us a lot, but we have to start early. I also am a true believer that it's never too late. So if we don't get students in kindergarten talking about college, and we don't get them at the third grade, we don't get them at the eighth grade, I truly, with everything in me, believe that 12th grade is not too late.
Right.
It's just that much harder.
It is
So
hard.
we have to start early. We have to start talking to students about what college looks like, what college means, and why it's important. Mm-hmm. We know that younger students want to go to college. It's an abstract thing, though. They want to go to college, right? We need to start saying, well, what does college look like? Do you know anyone who went to college? Is there a college that you're interested in? Whether it be because it's the football team that you see on Saturday playing, or if it's where your neighbor went to school, or if it's where your mom went to school. What do you know about college? And let's break that down. College for students who are middle class and wealthier is not an anomaly. It's just another thing to do.
Yeah.
The conversations happen very naturally in households about what it was like to move into a dorm, what it was like to join a sorority, what it was like to have graduation. Those conversations are not going to necessarily happen in a house that's first generation. So we do have to start having those conversations in our schools, in our communities, and just all around to make it very normal and not make it such a different thing. And I do think that we can start much, 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 much earlier. Yeah. But like I said, I also truly believe that we can start in the 12th grade and get students to college. And in Reach Higher, we consider college to be sort of anything that is a post-secondary degree or certificate. So college doesn't have to be a 4-year university in an ivory tower. But as long as students recognize that there is education beyond the 12th grade that they can access and they can achieve, yes, it will be hard. Yes, it'll be difficult. Yes, it might be expensive, but there are people who can help you. There are pathways that you can take to make it all much easier, much less expensive, and that you can still follow your dreams.
Right. And then I love how you talk about the college, and I love what Caroline continues on doing too, because I even have students at Ivy or Ivy Plus schools who contact me, and even though these schools have tons of can you help me get an internship or job? And it talks about that peer mentorship. Who is that relationship that you are in there together? So is there anything from Reach Higher that you guys are doing for those like re-entry students or in college? So like for the Carolines that are out there, to making sure that as well too, because there's so much you guys are doing, but what about that? Because I'm noticing there is also that lack. So when kids are in college, it's intimidating because like, well, how do I do a resume? Or no one's requiring me to go to the career center. And so now with Caroline's generation, Enoch's generation, it's not just about that degree.
Yeah.
Whether it's an associate, it's also that resume, that networking thing as well too.
Sure, we absolutely want to do more. That is true. We do want to do more. We've been around for 5 years, and I think now we're trying to pivot a little bit.
You've done a lot in 5 years.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's a lot.
My feet
because you're toolkit and you have the signing day promotions. I love that. Yes.
I think one of the biggest things that we do have is Up Next, which is a texting platform. Many folks sort of think of it as a texting tool for seniors. It is not just for seniors. We do have students who are in college now who are still very much at a place where they may not know, like you said, how to get an internship, or may not know if they do want to transfer, how to transfer to a different school. Don't know that you have to complete the FAFSA every year, not just
or the
that
CSS
first time.
profile from some of those
Exactly.
full funding schools
Yes,
too. Yeah,
exactly.
I got a lot of text messages from those kids too. It's like, yes,
we
you do.
Yes. So we do have the Up Next platform where when students sign up, they do stay with us throughout, and we'll be able to continue to
Oh, it's
talk
beautiful.
to them. But we are still sort of growing and changing, and do want to continue to talk to those students who are juniors, seniors, sophomores in college, thinking to transfer, older students who maybe did not go right after their senior year of high school, but do want to still get into the program and not to the program, but get into college, and just to recognize that college is still for them at every age.
Great. So as you're telling others to reach higher, that your program is doing that as well
We're
too.
trying.